Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Wrestling Discussions. On today's episode, we got a lot to discuss. I'm actually only going to be talking about one specific topic in general, one general topic, if you will, and that is tonight's Monday Night Raw. I know I need to. I usually split up the topics. I usually talk about various different things. However, tonight it's going to be strictly Monday Night Raw. I hope no one feels offended or hurt by that. But I want to get straight into it. So, tonight we have a pretty big match card. It turns out that Elimination Chamber, obviously one of a major pay-per-view before WrestleMania. It turns out that obviously this doesn't surprise me, due to the fact that Roman Reigns is the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion. He's not going to be defending it inside the chamber. In fact, it looks like the chamber match for the men's division that we are getting is going to be for the United States Championship. So obviously that means Austin Theory is going to be in an Elimination Chamber match. And I think that's big because honestly, I think the United States title needs that. I think the United States title has earned that this past year in 2022 and going into 2023. And listen, I know people don't want to hear it. I know people get sick of it. But Austin Theory as the United States champion, it's going good. It's going very good for him. I mean, Austin Theory as U.S. champ is... I mean, he's fought Seth Rollins. He's fought Bobby Lashley, both of which were top-tier matches, both of which were main events, both of which got the crowd going and the crowd excited. On top of that, there's a number of different possibilities in this match. We're going to see Dolph Ziggler versus Bronson Reed. We're going to see Seth Rollins versus Chad Gable. We're going to see Johnny Gargano versus Baron Corbin. These are all qualifying matches. The one qualifying match I didn't hear yet is Bobby Lashley. Where does Bobby Lashley stand in all of this? Is Bobby Lashley done with Brock Lesnar? Is Bobby Lashley going to Elimination Chamber? The last chamber match Bobby Lashley was in, he got injured. And he lost his WWE Championship because of said injury. On top of that, he came back and he was out of the title picture. He didn't get a rematch for the WWE Championship. He didn't get another opportunity for it, which is disappointing. On top of that, you have Brock Lesnar, who, if Bobby Lashley does go to the Elimination Chamber, it's safe to say that Brock Lesnar is going to secretly be there. Brock Lesnar is going to attack Bobby Lashley, and they're going to take this thing all the way to the WrestleMania, just like I said that they were originally going to do. Now, all that being said, before I talk about these matches that I just mentioned, I do want to go into some segments we'll be seeing tonight. We are going to see Cody Rhodes on tonight. It's going to be his first Monday Night Raw in how many months, which I think is huge for him. I like the fact that Cody Rhodes is a week-by-week guy. I like that Cody Rhodes, he goes to every Monday Night Raw. He appears on every Monday Night Raw when he's able to, because the way Cody kind of carries himself at times, I think it's safe to say that he carries himself almost as that of Brock Lesnar or that of Roman Reigns, where they don't show up every single week. And that's not to disrespect Cody, that's to say that he's on such a top-tier list right now that I think he should have the right to do that. But I'm glad he doesn't do that because it shows a lot about his character. It shows a lot about his mind for professional wrestling. And on top of that, this is going to be interesting because we don't know if the Bloodline's going to be on Monday Night Raw tonight. They've been on Monday Night Raw these past couple of weeks, and we don't know if they're going to be on Monday Night Raw tonight. Cody Rhodes is, and Cody Rhodes is going to discuss him going to WrestleMania and him fighting Roman Reigns. And, he even mentioned it on the press conference after the Royal Rumble. He's tried not to mention the name of Roman Reigns, but now he's gone to a point where he's going to start to have to do that. Him and Roman, they are going to face off at some point, whether it be tonight, whether it be next week, the following week, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Eventually, these two are going to face off. They can even hold it off all the way until WrestleMania, but eventually, these two are going to be face-to-face, whether it be in a contract signing or whether it be in a match. They are going to be face-to-face at some point, and they're going to have to acknowledge one another. Because just like Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes has done a lot in this business. He's done a lot in this sport, except win the WWE Championship. And he wants those belts. He wants to beat Roman Reigns for those belts. And so that's big. That's huge. And going into WrestleMania, I think he most certainly could do it. I think he most certainly could pull it off. Now, that being said, we're also going to see Rhea Ripley tonight, and she's going to decide who she's going to pick. Is she going to pick Charlotte Flair, or is she going to pick Bianca Belair for WrestleMania? Now, I'm assuming this means that Charlotte Flair is going to be on Monday Night Raw tonight. However, on top of that, I've said this before, I think Bianca Belair should be the girl to fight Rhea Ripley. Because these two, I feel as though Rhea Ripley is the only one that makes sense to take it to Bianca Belair. On top of that, if Rhea Ripley fights Charlotte Flair and wins at WrestleMania, that means she's going to SmackDown. And that can either mean a number of things. That can mean Rhea's going to SmackDown. It can mean the Judgment Day's going with her. Or it can mean that when we finally get to the draft, which we've so been craving and desperately needing, is that Rhea and whoever the current Raw Women's Champion is at the time are going to swap titles. And Rhea's going to stay on Raw. However, all that being said, I think hands down, her versus Bianca Belair would be more entertaining. We've already seen Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair on the main roster. We haven't really seen Bianca versus Rhea in the sense that we've seen it on NXT, we haven't seen it on the main roster, and we haven't seen it on such a big stage such as WrestleMania. Obviously, I understand why Rhea and Charlotte would want to happen again, especially on WrestleMania, because the last time and the first time they ever fought in singles action was at WrestleMania, and it was unfortunately when the pandemic started, and so they had no audience, they had no major thing, and so I understand them wanting to do that. However, I just think Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley would be that much more entertaining, in my personal opinion. It's what I want to see. If you want to see Charlotte versus Rhea, then I'm rooting for you guys. But personally, I want to see Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair going into WrestleMania. Now, going into these matches we're going to see for the U.S. tournament, we're going to see Bronson Reed take on Dolph Ziggler. Now, Dolph Ziggler, in an exclusive interview with Byron Saxton, Mustafa Ali jumped in. And obviously Mustafa Ali and Dolph Ziggler, they've been having some issues. At least Mustafa Ali has. Ali seems to think that Dolph Ziggler's taken his spot. Dolph Ziggler's taken his opportunities. And honestly, I don't think that's the case. I think it's simply that Dolph Ziggler is devoted to Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler needs to get back to Dolph. He needs to stop worrying about anyone else. He needs to worry about Dolph Ziggler. And going into this match, I think 100%, absolutely, Dolph Ziggler cannot worry about anything else. He has to focus on Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed is brand new to this division, and it's another one of those moments where it disappoints me with WWE in the sense that Dolph Ziggler is once again being thrown under the bus. He's being used as a guy to put over other superstars. He was used in Baron Corbin's first match when he, started this new persona as the modern day wrestling god. And so obviously, he lost that. Then he was put over with Solo Sikoa, who's the unstoppable enforcer of the bloodline. And so obviously he lost for that. And now he's most likely going to lose in this match against Bronson Reed, who's only had one singles match in Monday Night Raw, absolutely decimated Akira Tozawa, and is now moving on to fight Dolph Ziggler and go into Elimination Chamber. All that being said, though, I think Bronson Reed's a good pick to go into the Chamber. I just wish Dolph Ziggler wasn't the guy that he had to beat to go there. I think Dolph Ziggler deserves a spot in the Chamber match. Absolutely. On top of that, I think Dolph Ziggler just deserves a U.S. title match in general. I think him and Theory had a good storyline. And personally, I understand why Theory beat Dolph, but I think he beat him too early. I think you should have done what WWE should have done is do Dolph Ziggler versus Austin Theory, have Ziggler win the first time, then when Theory gets into this whole situation with the U.S. title, have Ziggler fight him again and make the crowd think, oh my god, Ziggler's going to win. And then have Theory win, because on top of that, it makes Theory a more hated individual, and it makes more sense rather than putting Ziggler back in a rivalry with Theory, back now when Theory is a title, upping the stakes, only for, Ziggler to most likely lose again. It's unfortunate, it sucks, and I don't want to see that for Dolph. But yeah, in terms of predictions, I've got to go with Bronson Reed. I think he's the smart choice. I think he's the right choice. It's his second match. If he loses, then what's the point? I mean, he's 10 times bigger than Dolph Ziggler. There's no way he's losing this match. On top of that, I really want them to do something more with both Ziggler and Ali. Both of these guys need a new storyline. I don't care if it's with one another, without one another, but they need something. And it almost sounds like they're trying to do a tag team match. It almost sounds like they're trying to make a tag team out of Dolph Ziggler and Mustafa Ali. And personally, I don't want to see that. I am tired of Dolph Ziggler being put in these tag team positions. I'm tired of Dolph Ziggler being put into these different things. I want Dolph Ziggler to be the old Dolph Ziggler, the 2014 Dolph Ziggler, the 2016 Dolph Ziggler that got on a microphone and had no problem complaining about being underrated and overlooked and got the crowd going. The guy that put his career on the line at No Mercy against The Miz. I want to see that guy one more time, and I'm sure the fans want to see that guy one more time. But yeah, my prediction is Bronson Reed. We're also going to see Seth Rollins take on Chad Gable. Now, this is interesting to me because this is a telltale sign that Seth Rollins is staying in the U.S. title spot. He's staying in that slot, which surprises me because obviously with his little encounter with Cody at the Royal Rumble, you would think he'd have a little bit more to do with Cody Rhodes. However, that being said, I do understand why he doesn't have anything to do with Cody Rhodes. I think personally Seth Rollins is in a position right now where they want to keep him a babyface, especially after Raw 30, when with him coming out with DX and stuff and Street Profits. I think pop that he got with that, I think that's really huge, and I think he deserves a spot to kind of just stay in and hang out with everyone and be the babyface right now. And so I get it. Honestly, what I think they're going to do is Cody Rhodes is going to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and then maybe have Cody and Seth later down the line to renew their rivalry. Maybe a little something like that. However, I personally, right now, where I stand with everything, I think Seth Rollins going into this match, if I'm being honest, I want Chad Gable to win because I want Chad Gable to get more momentum, more opportunities. The match that him and Otis did with Judgment Day, I think it was 2 weeks ago, really, really impressed me. And on top of that, they were getting cheered. Now, they didn't get cheered at the Royal Rumble, unfortunately. However, I think if they play their cards right, if WWE plays their cards right, I think they might be able to. And I think Gable is an interesting character. He's an interesting lad. And I think I'm not saying he can beat Seth. Like I'm not saying he can't beat Seth, but what I'm saying is I think Gable and Otis both deserve a little more right now than what they're getting. And on top of that, I think Seth Rollins should win due to the simple fact that Gable hasn't been put over enough, unless, say, Austin Theory gets involved. Say Austin Theory costs the match for Seth Rollins. There you go. That's interesting. That's going to really, build something up for maybe later on. However, my prediction is still going to be Seth. I think Seth's going to win this one. I think he's going to go to Elimination Chamber because I think Seth Rollins. I don't know. I just think that Seth Rollins needs to start being put in more pay-per-views. Obviously he's been in almost every pay-per-view. However, I will say I was a little disappointed, a little disheartened to not see him at Crown Jewel back in Saudi Arabia. And so going into what we're seeing now, going into this match, this potential Elimination Chamber, I really don't want to see him not go to Elimination Chamber, because especially in Montreal, because I think this is going to be very big for that of Seth. And now for the third match, Johnny Gargano versus Baron Corbin. Now again, another interesting turn of events. Baron Corbin already beat Johnny Gargano once, and so obviously everyone's probably thinking it's going to be Johnny. I'm certainly thinking it's going to be Johnny. Johnny Gargano is my prediction for this match. However, all that being said, at the end of the day, I think that it can also very well be said that Baron Corbin deserves this. Absolutely, Baron Corbin deserves this. However, Baron Corbin was in the 6-man U.S. title #1 contender elimination match. Gargano wasn't. Johnny has not fought for the U.S. belt, but he has fought Theory, and he has beat Theory. And so I would very much so like to see Johnny Gargano in the Elimination Chamber. It would be his first Elimination Chamber. But in terms of guys like Corbin and stuff, I want Corbin and Ziggler and wrestlers like that because it adds a level of diversity in the sense that this U.S. title bout, since all the way going back to back when Bobby had it, like going all the way back to the week after Extreme Rules and Seth beat Bobby for the title, it's really just been Bobby, Theory, and Seth that have been vying for this championship. And yeah, you've had Ali and you've had Ziggler in a little bit here and there, but other than that, where have they really been? And same with Finn Balor, you've had him in a little bit, but other than that, where have they really been? And I mean, Ziggler was very phenomenal. He really showed off his skill and his talent going into that six-man elimination. And so I think we need more diversity. I think we need more wrestlers other than Bobby and other than Seth and other than Theory going to this U.S. bout, this U.S. title bout. And so bringing them into Elimination Chamber and adding 5 other wrestlers to Theory's, to Theory's competition, I think it's going to be interesting. And so I am going to predict Johnny Gargano for this one, but I also want to see more wrestlers. I want to see Bronson Reed in there. I want to see Gargano in there. I really don't want to see Seth in there just because we've seen him for this title match so many times. I want to see more wrestlers. I want to see the different amounts of diverse wrestlers that they can actually fit in there and really kind of shake things up a little. Now, I do want to, I know I said I'm only going to get into the Royal Rumble, but I do want to touch on one more only get into Monday Night Raw, but I do want to touch on one more topic. It seems very at Elimination Chamber. However, that being said, I think in reality what we're going to see, well, no, I do think we're going to see Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber. And in fact, I even watched this video earlier today, and the guy was exactly right with what he was saying. WWE has to be very careful with this because people want Sami to be champion, and if they do this to the point where Sami gets so close to being champion, and he doesn't get it, then they're going to turn on Cody Rhodes, and they're going to want Sami Zayn in placement of Cody Rhodes. And so they have to do this right. And that's going to be really challenging to do, right? On top of that, you don't want... The whole point of this, of what I'm trying to say, is you don't want Sami Zayn to become another Daniel Bryan or another Kofi Kingston, in the sense that you don't want them to get so over in this match. You don't want Sami to get so over in this match to the point where there is no one else that they want to beat Roman other than Sami Zayn. And honestly, I want Sami to win. I think Sami should win, but let's be completely honest, it's not going to happen. In fact, many people at WrestleMania are saying we're going to get the Usos versus Owens and Zayn. And I know people are thinking, oh, well, Jey Uso's going to turn on Sami Zayn. But is he? Because think about it, this is the first crack in the bloodline, the first major crack in the bloodline that we've seen. And this would be vital. This would be very important if the bloodline were to start cracking going into WrestleMania, where Roman might actually lose the belts, the fall of the bloodline once and for all. And so this is too much of a vital moment for this to just be Jey Uso's going to betray Sami Zayn and rejoin the bloodline. No, this needs to be real. You know what I mean? This can't be a hoax from the bloodline. This needs to be Jey Uso working with Sami. And I know that's weird because the Usos are the undisputed tag champs, but they're gonna have to figure something out then. It just makes more sense that way, in my opinion. All that being said, though, I'm excited. I'm looking very much forward to this Monday Night Raw. I'm looking forward to this whole week of wrestling. It sounds like AEW has a lot planned. NXT has a lot planned. SmackDown, I'm sure, is going to be great, with the bloodline and everything. And so I can't wait for that. And ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.